Chelsea Market is one of the most popular spots to visit in all of New York City, and for a good reason. But sometimes you wonder, if a spot is popular for tourists and people visiting New York City, is it really worth visiting it? So I'm gonna give you some of the facts in this video and let you make your own decision. Now, I've spent lots of time in Chelsea Market throughout the years, and there are some things I love about this area, but also some things I dislike. So I'm gonna share all of that with you in this video. If you aren't familiar with Chelsea Market, it is a shopping, dining destination on the west side of New York City, in Manhattan, in the meatpacking district on the border of Chelsea, and also steps away from the West Village. It can be found pretty much all the way west, pretty much right off the West Side Highway. And we'll put up a picture in this video so you can kind of see exactly where we're talking about. It is right next to two other very big popular tourist attractions. The High Line is the old train station that was lifted high up above the ground that you can now walk on. It's now like an urban park above the city. And Little Island just opened up within the past few years. It's a beautiful floating park on the Hudson River. Both of those are within walking distance of Chelsea Market. So before I get into the Chelsea Market, I want to share a fact with you. Chelsea Market was the old Nabisco factory in New York City. So Oreos were actually invented in Chelsea Market. If you're someone who appreciates history like I do, it's probably pretty cool to know that you're going to the place where literally Oreo was invented, and probably so many other snacks that we know as well. If you don't love crowds, you might get a little bit frustrated with Chelsea Market because it is very, very touristy and there's just a lot of traffic throughout Chelsea Market. And it is a food hall, but the path where you're walking can be a little bit narrow at times. So it's very, very crowded. And I'm a small person, so I can get lost in the crowds there. Now, if you're also a bigger person, you might feel like it's just too tight and that you can't move in Chelsea Market. It's just not very comfortable for really anybody. If crowds do bother you, I would suggest going not on the weekend if you can, and on a weekday on almost like an off random hour, because there's going to be less people there and you can actually see Chelsea Market. That's pretty much the case for any tourist attraction in New York City. If you can go on a weekday and if you can go on an off hour, that's always going to be your best bet, just because you're almost guaranteed to avoid the crowds. Now, keep in mind, if you're going on a weekday but it's a holiday, it's still probably going to be the same exact crowd as the weekend. If you're visiting Chelsea Market in the colder months, it becomes even more crowded. Why is that? Because New York City is very cold. So if it's a cold, chilly day, people huddle in Chelsea Market literally just to get warm and maybe grab a quick bite to eat or a coffee or something like that. So it gets even more crowded when it's cold out because people are just hiding in Chelsea Market. They're basically just trying to break away from the wind and the cold. So it's going to be really crowded, but it's also crowded in the warmer months too. It's just in the winter, sometimes it's just like you're not able to move at all. So there are some really great local food spots in Chelsea Market. They have all different types of cuisine here. One of my favorites is Los Tacos. This is the original location of Los Tacos. If you're not familiar with Los Tacos, it's probably one of the most authentic Mexican tacos in all of New York City. It's definitely the most famous at this point just because everybody knows and loves it. If you're coming into New York City for the first time and haven't had it yet, I definitely suggest you get Los Tacos. Now, because this is the original location of this Los Tacos, it is very crowded and you will have to wait in a ridiculously long line. There are other locations around New York City, so I do sometimes recommend that people go to the other locations if they don't want as long of a wait, because the wait can be literally ridiculous here, like could be up to an hour depending on when you're going. And Los Tacos is a kind of like grab and go spot. It's not a dining establishment, so you're grabbing your tacos to go, but there are chairs and different places to eat around Chelsea Market, so you can eat in the market. There are some restaurants that are in Chelsea Market or connect to Chelsea Market. I've never actually dined in Chelsea Market, but there are some really popular restaurants that I've heard from many people in my life and from many reviews online that are very good. So you can definitely go and actually dine and sit down, eat, have a glass of wine at a restaurant in Chelsea Market. Or you can get a lot of fast casual places, just like I talked about with Los Tacos, where you're just grabbing, going, finding a table to eat at. When it comes to shopping in Chelsea Market, there are some options. There are some big name brands. Anthropologie has a huge store there. There are also more like local New York City shops as well. They have a flea market type of thrift store, and that's very popular. It is not the place that I would go out of my way to shop there. Like, I wouldn't consider it like a mall of Manhattan by any means. There are definitely other malls in Manhattan that are actual malls. This is more just like a food hall that I would say has some shops in it. So I wouldn't go out of my way to shop in Chelsea Market. So don't plan on making this like your shopping destination in New York City. It's definitely not that. If anything, you're probably just going through Chelsea Market to enjoy the scene, grabbing a bite to eat, and then maybe stopping at a few shops while you're there. Would I recommend stopping at Chelsea Market? I wouldn't go so out of my way to Chelsea Market. It's definitely not the type of activity that you can make an entire day out of by any means, because you can get through it pretty much in an hour to 2 hours depending on what you're trying to do there. So you don't have to spend a lot of time there. If I was visiting New York City and planning on going to Chelsea Market, I would pair it with Little Island. If you're going in a warmer month where you can spend a little bit of time outside, Little Island is a very cool tourist attraction. I highly recommend you check that out. It's also very small, so you can get through that pretty pretty quickly, and pair it with the High Line, which is that elevated park over New York City where you're just like walking elevated over everybody else. That's so cool, and I recommend that. Little Island and the High Line get very, very crowded during the nicer months, so keep that in mind as well. And if you're coming here in the colder months, bundle up because it's going to get very, very cold, especially on the High Line when you're above. I recommend pairing those two together. The High Line connects Chelsea Market to another very popular tourist spot where people visit called Hudson Yards in New York City. I would recommend doing Hudson Yards, the High Line, Chelsea Market, and Little Island all in one day. That would probably be a full day itinerary for me, so you're able to see all those spots. I definitely think that all those places are worth seeing. However, you can get through each of them pretty quickly, so you might want to combine all of them together to kind of make your time more worthwhile. Also, if you are stopping at Chelsea Market, I do recommend that you check out the neighborhood, the West Village. Now, the West Village is directly south of where Chelsea Market is. It's a very, very local, adorable neighborhood in New York City. People say that the West Village kind of has like a European city vibe, and it really does. It's very different than a lot of other areas in New York City. It's also not an area where a lot of tourists really come unless they know somebody or they're going somewhere specifically to dine there. So I definitely recommend checking out that neighborhood and just walking around if you can there as well. But I do recommend you come to Chelsea Market. I just don't want you to expect that you're going to be spending hours and hours here because you can get through it pretty quickly. I do think that you should go to Chelsea Market, try some of the local food there, and enjoy some of the other tourist attractions that I talked about that are around that area as well. So I hope that helped you figure out if you should visit Chelsea Market. Now, I would love to know, have you visited Chelsea Market and do you think it's worth it? As always, I just love hearing from you guys.